All right, we are the independent 88.5 FM here in Southern California. My name is Mookie, or Mark if you prefer, and Matt Belmont is on the other screen. How are you today?
I'm good. Yeah. I'm glad to be with you in spirit, if not in person.
Where are you right now, physically?
I, I'm in London. I'm in South London, a place called Croydon. So it's kind of it's as far south out of London as you can get, while still kind of technically being in London.
Mm. There's got to be a time change for me as we tape this segment. It's about 1:30 in the afternoon. What time is it by you right now?
It's 9:33 p.m. Yeah.
Amazing, man. Thank you so much for
But ha-
taking the time. The song that we've been playing on the air has been getting some amazing reactions. We see it on social media and we see it in our inbox all the time. The song Hollow just sounds great on the radio. And I hope stations out by you have embraced the song as well. I'm always curious about sort of the radio climate where you live. Is it all sort of dominated by BBC, or are there sort of taste-making radio stations that you listen to from time to time?
there are, but it's not on the same level as in the US. So we've had like some BBC introducing plays and things like that, which is their kind of level of kind of here's a new band, here's some new music. And we do have local radio. It's just not subscribed to as much as you guys over there. Like um, when I first came over to Nashville and LA and and saw kind of how big a thing driving was, which leads to like a lot of radio. People drive a long way and listen to a lot of radio over there, and we still have it here, but not on the same level as you guys. So yeah,
Well,
it's
I,
nice.
I guess you don't need it because you've gotten millions and millions of streams on the internet, which is amazing and encouraging. And I feel like you're on this upward trajectory right now. That's got to feel pretty good as an artist, right?
Yeah, it feels great. It feels great, and yeah, people do bring up the streams a lot when I'm talking to radio, which is yeah, it is kind of a new thing and it is really cool. But I just there's something that legitimizes an artist and a song. I think when you start getting played on the radio, like it was very. I don't know if my first stream was as exciting as my first radio spin. So yeah, it's really cool to kind of to be on the radio. That's awesome.
It's really cool to hear that artists still I guess share value, if that's the
Mm.
term, in radio, and it brings me so much joy to spin a record for the first time, a local artist or whatever, and you see it on Twitter 20 minutes later of them just sitting in the car listening and just like super excited and
Yeah.
super stoked. It makes us really happy, you
It's
know.
because there's like, I mean, not to knock streaming, like it's been amazing in my career, and I'm always grateful when I get a big playlist or whatever. But there's a human face to radio, and I think radio gets like finds its way into your life in a way that streaming doesn't quite yet, And I guess I don't know. I guess maybe it is something to do with the host. You get to know the hosts, and you get to know you choose a certain radio station in your area,
Hmm.
and then you get a soft spot for, I think.
Yeah.
For
Belmont.com is the website. It's BELLEMT.com. Of course, your name is Matt Belmont, and
Yeah.
there's an EP available for everybody right now. Came out a couple of years ago called Volume One. The song Hollow ends up on that 5-song EP.
Hmm.
And seems like you've been busy since then, sort of trickling out single and piecemeal, single here, a single there. Songs like Origins and Issues and Hydra. And we
Yep.
just got a brand new song recently, This Kind of Heavy, which I imagine is going to be on the Water EP, which is, as we tape this segment, will be available in just a few days from now.
Yeah, yeah. This kind of heavy is was the kind of the first track to make its way out before we'd even announced the EP. But yeah, it's an important song to me, and it's an important song on that EP. So I'm so excited for the world to hear this EP. It has ups and downs. This kind of heavy is a very kind of deep, emotional ballad, I suppose. And when I say, I mean a rock ballad, I suppose.
Mm.
It builds and builds, and there's big swirling guitars and pianos, and um, there's songs like that, and then there's really uplifting kind of feel good songs. So yeah, it's I'm so excited that that's coming out because, as you say, it has been piecemeal here and there, and that hasn't been my choice. If it was up to me, I'd release every week. But
Ah,
I've been building a team. You know, the first EP, it really blew up in a way that I hadn't necessarily I'd hoped for, but hadn't imagined. And yes, so I've been putting together a whole team, and we've got a label and a publisher and a manager now, and that meant that we had to hang on for a while, and this is the time that we can now actually start to share some of this stuff we've been working on. So it's super exciting.
That's incredible. It sounds like you are very excited. Were these songs basically completed, or had you been working on it sort of during quarantine?
Um, I these songs, so I wrote them over the last couple of years. Yeah. So recording has been in quarantine. Yeah, it's been home recording. We've had to kind of work out how to get that level of quality from home recording in between my neighbors who live below and above me, kind of banging on the walls and the floor. And we did manage to get a couple of drum days in at a studio, because drums just don't really work out in an apartment. But but yeah,
Right.
mostly quarantine.
But that's generally where the magic happens, is right there in that
Yeah.
home studio.
Yeah. It is. It's a strange thing that we could do that right now, but I'm very lucky. Whenever we complain about the fact that this is happening, then we also kind of try and look on the side of, but this is happening in 2020 when we can still do this. You know, if this happened 20 years ago, 10 years ago, then we couldn't have done what we've just done, and we couldn't have put together an EP and put out
Yeah.
an EP right now. We'd have to wait till next year.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy that I'm a gazillion miles away, but still sort of going through the same thing that you are in London?
Yeah. Yeah, in a strange way, it's connecting us all, right? It's
Yeah.
it's it's turning everyone's life upside down, but it's nice that we've all got a little bit of time to reflect. And I almost feel like I've connected with I've still managed to connect with a lot of people. Maybe not as many people, um, but yeah, a lot of people, and maybe some people that I wouldn't have necessarily had time to stop and connect and talk with.
Mm.
We were supposed to be on a tour right now. Starting across Europe. So I don't know if we would have been able to do this interview if it hadn't been, if the year hadn't gone the way it did. So yeah, there's positives and negatives to this whole thing.
Yeah, a lot of artists that we've spoken to have just released a record, and then the whole tour is scrapped. Normally, they'd be on the road for 100 or 150 days out of the year,
Mm,
but now everybody's pivoting to virtual, and it's amazing, the innovation that's come out of it, and the accessibility. Like, artists are really accessible to their fans right now,
yeah,
yeah, obviously some of the things that we're learning during the pandemic will translate to normal life when it's all said and done. Hopefully, it's hard
yeah,
to believe we'll even get to that point, but it's
yeah.
coming. Hopefully,
Yeah, I believe it's coming. It will get there, and there will be that day where we just stop and reflect and go, "Wow, that happened, and that's over. Like, where did it go?" You know, and
yeah,
we will inevitably miss a couple of things about this, which sounds strange right now. But yeah, I agree. It's moved innovation on. It feels like it's moved it forward 10 years, and also the way that we are able to connect with fans is a whole new thing, because it's. I mean, especially from my point of view, I never miss a message on social media on purpose or a comment. It's just I'm doing other things. So now I'll get a message, and sometimes I'll reply within like 3 minutes, and someone will be like, "Oh wow, I didn't expect you to see this or reply." And it's like, well, of course, like whenever I see a nice message that someone sent about our music because they've connected with it, I want to reply and speak to that person, but you just can't always. So it's kind of nice that we have that moment to stop and reply now.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice to hear that you don't have handlers working on that for
No.
you. So it's like, if we tweet at you type of thing, we know that it's getting to you.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is super cool. You mentioned Nashville previously, and I know that you played at South by Southwest as well in the past.
Yeah.
How much time have you spent in the United States?
Pre 2016, I had been maybe three times in my life, and one was to Disney World. But then since 2016, it's been about four times a year. So I must times now. Um, but mostly Nashville. Probably second place being LA, and then Austin. My management are based in, they have an office in Nashville and an office in Austin. So yeah, so that's kind of gotten me to those parts of the world a lot. And then LA is just, that's where where I've had a lot of writing sessions and production sessions and things. So yeah, I love the
Right. So,
US.
so most of you, excluding the Disney World trip, most of your trips to the United States were music related.
Yeah. Last few years, it's all been. I even tried to make a trip that wasn't, and it just turned into a music trip. As soon as management heard I was going to be there, it was like, okay, well, can we just squeeze this in and this and this? And it ended up being something once every 2 or 3 days, but it's
Yeah.
always fun.
Yeah, man. Speaking of South by Southwest, we had our bags packed and our boarding passes, and we were hosting a stage at the convention center in Austin with 5 different bands. And sure enough, we had to cancel all of that. Hey, Matt, I lost your video feed.
Yeah. It's my. Give me 1 second. It's my
Yeah,
camera has died, but I will be able to switch. 1 second, right?
it's cool. That's why we tape this stuff.
Yeah, so you can edit this moment out, right? So my camera quality is probably about to drop because I'm going to my FaceTime camera. Oh. You have me back?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that going to be okay, or do you want me to change the battery in my camera
No,
and go back how
yeah,
we
that
were?
looks great.
That's great.
Yeah,
Cool.
quick camera switch.
Yeah.
Again, we're here with Matt Belmont on the Independent 88.5 FM. It's been said, and I thought I saw on your socials just earlier today on Facebook, a lot of people are calling Belmont a one-man band. However, that's really not the case because
No.
you have a couple of collaborators who you've been working with for quite some time. Chris and Ben, what's your relationship like with those guys? When did you find out that you sort of struck lightning in a bottle? I guess if that's the term creatively with this trio.
Yeah, it does happen. It happens a lot. Like you say, a lot of people just talk about me, and I try to correct that wherever I can, because it as a project it really does split between, like, yeah, when it comes to the writing and the producing of the songs, that does come it started with me before I added Ben and Chris in there, and it was me and Femke, my producer, and then I wanted to put a band together, and I knew which drummer I had because I'd worked with Chris for about 10 years, 8 or 10 years. We'd been in bands since we were like young, and so I knew it was Chris. I knew, as long as he said yes, I knew I wanted Chris. But I was looking for a guitarist, and I ran an open mic night in London, in South London, and different musicians would come in every week. And this guy Ben came in, Ben Worsley, and he just played the most beautiful, tasteful guitar like John Mayer. And then he was really into the same bands as me, Radiohead and Bon Iver and all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, he started to accompany me a few times, and he would just jump up and he wouldn't really know the song, and he'd just play like I was like, that's exactly what I want. So yeah, like you say, lightning in a bottle. Both guys just knew exactly what I was trying to achieve, and have brought so much to the project. And now it's like I really didn't want to be like guy with guitar and his guys standing in the shadows, because these guys do bring so much to it. So yeah, having Ben and Chris is great, and yeah, we're really like a band now. It's
Yeah, so
evolved into that.
everybody plays on the Volume 1 record, and everybody's
Yeah.
on the Water EP as well.
Yeah. Well, the Volume 1 record started. It was midway through that we kind of were like, right, well, I want more of a band sound on this song, and that was a song called "Let Me." So the first 3 songs were myself and Femke played and recorded everything, and then "Let Me," we got Ben and Chris in, and at that moment it was like, oh yeah, this is actually a direction I want to go. So
Mm.
then from then on, Origins, Hydra, those songs you mentioned in between, and now this entire EP is. We had to change up the way we did it, because it used to just be I would put piano and guitar and vocals down, and then Femke would build this whole production around it, and now we have this like centered 3-piece, and she puts her magic over that now. So yeah.
Incredible. So it's you're not writing all the musical parts. It's a true collaboration, more or
Yeah,
less, right?
yeah. I can't claim that I'm doing everything. Although a lot of people try and put that on me, but yeah, I want to give credit where it's due.
Right on. Matt Belmont is here for this Here at Home session on the Independent 88.5 FM. Belmont.com is the website. There is such a sincerity in your music that is greatly appreciated on the airwaves here.
Thank you.
How else are you sort of spending time while in quarantine? Are you streaming music? Are you reading books? Are you playing vinyl? Are you, binging on television?
I've done a lot of binging on TV. I
Yeah.
do have a record player behind me on top of my piano there, and I've been digging through my vinyl a bit. I've
What's
been practicing.
a recent vinyl spin on the turntable over
Uh,
there?
I recently got the Bon Iver records on vinyl, which is I feel like my record player doesn't do them justice. It's the first ones where I've known every nuance of the sound, and I have this kind of like £50 um, Amazon record player. But yeah, I played the 4 EP recently. I played a lot of Fleetwood Mac,
Uh,
some Bowie. Yeah, it. I always start with a new art. Whenever I'm listening to new music, I stream it a lot, and then it gets to a point where it's got a special place in my heart, and then suddenly I'm like, right, I need the vinyl of that because I want to listen to this album front to back, So
yeah,
yeah, a lot of that. And yes, I've just got to say a lot of binge watching TV. A lot. I've got recommendations coming out my ears.
of course you do. We all do. We all do. Um, again, this is Matt Belmont here on 88.5 FM. I just wanted to ask you, and you had written about this, I read in your bio or an e-blast the other day, the subject matter behind the song Hollow,
Hmm.
which is a song that our listeners are certainly familiar with. Can you delve into that and give us a little more insight?
Yeah, Hollow was about the start of my relationship, coming out of a past relationship where I kind of felt a little bit closed off to new relationships. I didn't want that, and I met a girl who was in a very similar place, and we were perfect for each other, but we both kind of were closed off, so we just wouldn't open up. Um, and and we went for maybe 4 or 5 months like that, playing these games, and then we had this conversation where we kind of were just like, we really kind of care about each other, and that's why we keep having these explosive moments, because we care so much, and we just need to admit that to ourselves. And we've never looked back, and now we're engaged. So yeah,
Ah,
it's inspired by that, but it's almost the what might have been if it hadn't worked, so yeah, it's inspired by my fiance.
and the sort of the subject matter of what might have been if it hadn't worked also may translate into other aspects of life. So that's the wonderful thing
Hmm.
about music is you could read between the lines of what an artist is saying, and you could have 100 people listen to the same song, and each one of those people could have a different takeaway from it.
Yeah,
It's like looking at a painting or something.
absolutely. And that is something that I learned, in specifically from one sort of conversation with a friend who is a huge John Mayer fan, about one song called Gravity. And just how he's a guy called James Thompson, a piano player, and he was in awe of the lyric of this song, because it's so heavy and meaningful without ever name checking what he's singing about. He just uses this metaphor of gravity as working against me, as trying to bring me down, and then, because he leaves it so ambiguous, you're able to apply that to your situation, whether it's you've lost your job, or you've
Mm,
lost your partner, or you've had a fight, or you've fallen out with a friend, or whatever. It's that time, it's that moment when it feels like the world is working against you. So that's always stuck in my mind, and now when I write songs, whenever I'm writing about something very personal, I try and put a lot of I do put a lot of myself into it, but I try to just stop short of name checking the thing, so that it's still
mm,
open for you as the listener to
mhm.
to to apply it to you, and make it a very important song to you in your life.
Yeah. What was the last day job that you had that wasn't music related?
I'm going back a while, because I quit my last day job so I worked in a shoe shop, and I had a terrible manager, and the guy the guy fired me, and as he fired me, I walked out of the shop, and opposite the shop was a guy busking in the street. And I thought, what am I doing working for a few pounds an hour when this guy's busking in the street? And I say I'm a musician. I want to be a musician. I'm writing my own songs. Why am I selling shoes? So yeah, I walked past this guy and I stood and watched him for a while. And then I chatted to him between songs about how to set up and where to get what his amp was, what equipment he was using.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me everything. And I went back the next day and I set up outside the shop and I turned the volume up full blast.
No.
And I started busking into the store. And I never looked back. And I think I made maybe 4 times what I would make in a shift selling shoes, singing
No
in the
way.
street.
That's an incredible story.
I think it's the first time I've told it, actually, so that might be an exclusive for you.
That's really amazing. That's a newsworthy anecdote, actually, that you just gave me today. That's so super cool, man. Well, I've been telling people that you can't buy a ticket to a show these days. So, go to the band's or the artist's website and get some merch, buy the t-shirts, get the vinyl, buy the records and stuff. A little bit can go a long way. So that's what we have to do now to support independent artists and artists that we like. Belmont.com is the website. We're still playing Hollow. We will continue to do that. And, now that I know you personally, feels good to be able to play your stuff on the air.
Thanks so much, man. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to coming and actually saying hello personally when we can eventually do a little radio tour.
Yeah.
I feel a little bit robbed of seeing all these places.
I know, man. I know. Well, I don't know. Again, try to find the silver lining of all of this, because when the time does come, you're probably going to be on the road a lot.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into a version that was provided of you performing Hollow. I guess the 88.5 FM exclusive of that version. Before we kind of rip into that song, anything else to touch on before we wrap it up here?
I would just say thank you so much for playing our music on the radio and getting us to a new audience. That's huge right now, because it does feel like so difficult to reach people right now without being able to do that thing of going in a room and showing them what you've got. So yeah, thank you for that. And also to anyone listening, please come and send some messages. I do reply quickly. And that's, whether it's, as you said, it is, you can't go to a show. So to me, to just give our new music a listen and to send us a message and let us know what you think is everything, really. Hey guys, I'm Matt from Belmont. I'm in my living room in London, and I'm going to play you a couple of songs, starting with our newest song, This Kind of Heavy. I can't find love. Did it run out? Oh, if there was a God, then he stopped coming around. You know it's gotta hurt to see the burning of your masterpiece. There was a light, but even that's gone now. Way too bright to last, he burned himself out. Oh, what a sight to see, a star just ceased to be. But nothing comes close to this kind of heavy. Nothing comes close. And there is no letting go till you're ready. Everyone knows nothing comes close. We only fight as a way to speak. We'll start a war just to negotiate the peace. It's the way that we communicate. It's a habit we don't seem to want to shake. but nothing comes close to this kind of heavy. Nothing comes close, and there is no letting go till you're ready. When everyone knows nothing comes close, and nothing comes close to this kind of heavy. Nothing comes close. Nothing comes close. Oh, it's becoming oh so clear that we are on our own out here. Oh, it's becoming oh so clear that we are on our own out here. When nothing comes close to this kind of heavy. Nothing comes close. Nothing comes close. It's becoming oh so clear that we are on our own out here when nothing comes close. She told me she was hollow, as far from what I see. She's more than just the daughter of a broken man to me. She told me she was shallow, her rivers run so deep. If I could only be the boat that leads her to the sea. But lonely is her favorite place to be. When she feels the hurt, she lets it bleed. Sometimes she's lost, sometimes she's broken, sometimes she's closed, sometimes she's open. Lonely is her favorite place to be. She told me she was falling. I offered her my hand, but she only finds a comfort in not knowing just how hard she's gonna land. I told her she was special, she almost let me in, but she couldn't bear the thought of digging up the heart that she's been burying. Lonely is her favorite place to be. When she feels the hurt, she lets it bleed. Sometimes she's lost, sometimes she's broken, sometimes she's closed, sometimes she's open. Lonely is her favorite place to be. Oh, 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 oh. Lonely is her favorite. If only I could change it. If I could only save her. But lonely is her favorite. If only I could change it. If I could only save her. Sometimes she's lost, sometimes she's broken, sometimes she's closed, sometimes she's open, sometimes she's stone cold, times she's on fire. Mostly she's everything I desire. Well, sometimes she's lost, sometimes she's broken, sometimes she's closed, sometimes she's open, sometimes she's stone cold, times she's on fire. Mostly she's everything I desire. Lonely is her favorite place to be. Lonely is her favorite place to be. She told me she was hello. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks, guys. Thank you for playing our songs and listening to our songs. We can't wait to be out on the road. We can't wait to meet you all, hopefully in the flesh at some point soon. But yeah, for now, stay safe. Thanks, guys.
88.5 FM, KCSN, and KCSN HD1 Northridge, Los Angeles. KSBR and KSBR HD1 Mission Viejo. A service of California State University Northridge and Saddleback College. Member-supported public radio. Streaming on the web at 885fm.org.